Hey, this is Hammer 357 Mag. Today we're going to do a quick look of the Ontario 8904. We're going to go over the specs, price point, fit and feel, primary and secondary concepts of use, out-of-box sharpness, and the final thoughts. So first, just take a look at the knife. Again, this is a manual flipper, and it really works well. You know, if you're used to a thumb flipper, which I really am not, it just flies out of there. Anyway, it's made of an AUS 8A, which is a very good steel. My research on this steel says it's in the same class as a 440C and basically other standard steels that you would see on a knife of this price range, which we'll get to later. It's got a 56 to 58 Rockwell hardness. It's a stainless steel, and you know, it takes a good edge, and it's not that hard to resharpen. This particular steel has good resistance against rust. Now let's look at the handle for a second. This handle is a Zytel, and my research on Zytel says there's all different kinds of Zytel. But basically Zytel is a glass reinforced nylon resin. So it's pretty close to the reinforced nylon resin that's used in a lot of knives. The difference here is it's got not just nylon in it, it's got resin in it. Okay, so let's do a quick overview of this knife. The blade length on this knife, it's a good 3.5 inches, so it's not a small knife. The overall length on this knife is 8 inches, and the closed length in this particular knife is 4.5 inches. The weight on this knife is 5.6 ounces, so it's not a light knife. You know, it's not a real heavy knife either. It's kind of in the medium. So the deployment on this particular knife is the manual thumb stub. So you get that baby out and then you snap it. I'm not that good at it, but when you flip it out, it really wants to go. This particular one is a liner lock, and again, if you look at that liner lock in there, it's in there really solid. So that really will hold that in there really well. The pocket clip on this is tip up, tip down on this side, and it's tip up, tip down on this side. So you got 4 places where you can attach this liner lock. So, excuse me, the clip. The blade type in this, it's a drop point, and it's not your standard drop point where this part would just come down a little more smoothly. It kind of looks like a Taylor drop point, but you can see it and that disc that the actual top of it is tailored in some, so it kind of gives it a really nice look to this particular blade. If you look at that, I'm really happy with that. I like the way this one looks. It's you know, not your ordinary drop point. So I like what CRT did with this, or not CRT, but what Ontario did with it. The actual grind on this particular knife is the flat grind from the blade up to about here, so it's about a 3/4 flat grind. So I kind of like that. A lot of blades like this would be a hollow grind, but this one is a flat grind. So that'll give you some different functions you can do with this knife versus the hollow grind. This will be an emergency situation. That flat grind, you know, could help you with, you know, batoning some light wood. The blade play on this one, just look at this. That's really solid in there. The Ontario knives are really good at that. So the blade play is excellent, which means it doesn't have any. Blade centering. Okay, let's check that out. We look at the blade centering here real quick. Again, this one's kind of deep in there. You can't see it that well unless I get some more light on it. But the way I look at it is it's right at or just slightly off to one side. I'd say it's, instead of 50% in there, it's about 45%, which means it's pretty darn close. So that's good. Let's look at the blade retention. Again, that's, you got the blade deployed, and if you've got a good liner lock, is the blade going to stay in there? So, it's not, I got to find a better way to test it like that, but the blade retention is really good. Now the fit and feel on this and the ergonomics, it's in my hand, it's a little longer blade, so I got a little out the back, but it really feels good. I like the troil on that with the finger, and it's got some real nice jimping on this. And this jimping digs into your hand really well, especially when you hit the blade. So that's really good. And actually, even though it's a glass reinforced nylon resin, if you look at the blade, they got some checkering on that. So that helps the feel of it. So it does feel real solid in the hand. So I'm really happy with that. The country of origin on this particular knife is Taiwan. This particular knife, because of its size, and it feels well in the hand, and it's got some nice jimping on it, and the way the blade is laid out. I think this primary concept to use should be tactical on this, with a strong secondary of EDC general purpose. As a matter of fact, it could go either way, but if I was going to carry two knives, I would make this one a tactical, and I have other blades that, could be used as general purpose. But if you were to carry one knife to do both, this would be a good choice. Anyway, the price point on this particular knife off eBay right now is $28, and this knife I think is a steal for $28. If you have 28 bucks to spend on a knife, I don't know that you could get a better knife than this one right now. It looks really good, feels great in the hand. Okay, let's check out how it cuts paper. It's really sharp, but it doesn't seem to be quite as sharp as some of the Kershaws I've had. Seems like it drags a little more. Let's do the test and see what I can get it to curl on. Not quite getting that. It doesn't quite want to curl like. It's getting to curl here. Let's see what we can get. I can't get the real thin one. We got a good curl on that, but it wasn't quite as thin as I get off some of the Kershaws. So I'd say it's got a good sharp edge on it, but it could be a slight bit better. So, and overall, this is really a good blade for, I think, tactical and combat, specifically for the price. I mean, for $29, this is a great knife. It also will do well as an EDC blade. The outer box sharpness is really good. It's not quite like some of the Kershaws, but it's pretty darn close, and I don't know. Again, for $29, I think it's a must buy. Sorry, I'm not that good at that. Okay, now, would I buy it again? Absolutely, for two reasons. One, $29 for a $29 knife. You're not going to find too many that look this good, and I think it's going to be a good medium-sized combat knife. So I'd like to thank you for your time. Have a great day. Remember, long live rock and roll.